Hear us? Yeah? Okay. Member Ali?
Here.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Member Yusra Ali? Vice Chair Bondo? Member Bryden? Member Lena?
Here.
Member Noor?
Here.
Member Opperman?
Here.
Member Sawtell?
Here.
Student Representative Grant? Student Representative Milstein-Jones? Student Representative Mohammed? Student Representative O'Brien? Chair Lentz.
Here. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance when the flag comes up on the screen, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqey or Maliseet, Mi'kmaq, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy or People of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. And as a reminder of our mission, the Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote the healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And our definition of equity. Equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable differences in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup. And with that, I'm going to open public comment. If you are on Zoom and you'd like to give public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. If you're here in the room and would like to give public comment, you may come up to the podium. Okay, I'm seeing no one, so I'm going to go ahead and close public comment for tonight. And move into my own remarks. Mine are going to be just short today, and it's just a quick reflection. This morning, I was lucky enough, along with Board Member Lena and Board Member Sawtell, to join the full PPS staff at Merrill Auditorium for this year's kickoff of the school year. And it is just a phenomenal event to have and see all of our people in one room together and to realize the power and love and commitment that is in that room. And so I just wanted to thank everyone for coming there and for bringing their energy, and also to the team that organized it. We got to hear speakers from across the district, including Principal Aris Ayala, and we also got to see the main poet laureate this year. So it was just really incredible. And just thanks to all the bus drivers that got 1,300 people to Merrill and back to their home schools. And that, before I turn it over to the superintendent, I just want to wish everyone a happy first day of school on Monday for our K through 12. Is that right? K through 12? No. First through 12, I always get those confused, and then pre-K and K the day after. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. It is wonderful to be here at the start of a new school year. As Chair Lentz shared, yesterday we welcomed our staff back, and today we gathered as the district for our third annual one-team kickoff at Merrill Auditorium. The energy in the room was great, and it was an exciting spot to be. We're able to be a great place because of the work that folks do in our schools, on our buses, preparing food and cleaning our buildings. And today we got to see the collective power of that staff at Merrill Auditorium. During that time, we were fortunate to hear from Principal Aris Ayala, who's the principal of Deering High School, who spoke about the power of belief, that fear is a natural reaction to new challenges, and that we cannot fully believe in what our students are capable of unless we believe in ourselves. We are also honored to have Dawn Potter, Maine's Poet Laureate, share their poem, First Game. The new year is already underway in another way as well. Our fall sports teams are back on the fields, in courts, and clubs and activities are starting up across our schools. These experiences are where so many of our students find their people and their passions, and I want to wish all of our student athletes, coaches, advisors, and club members a wonderful season and a strong start. For our families, a couple of key dates, and I'm picturing this with like a scrolling marquee at the bottom of this when this gets posted on YouTube. But again, students in grades 1 through 12 start on Monday, August 31st. Our pre-K and kindergarten students begin on Tuesday, September 1st. Bus routes have been shared with families. If you have not received yours or if you have questions, please reach out to our transportation department. They can be reached at 207-874-8260 or email transportation@portlandschools.org. One other piece, on September 8th is when our adult ed returns to school. To the board members here tonight, we would love to have you join us on the first day. There's no better way to see the power of your service than to welcome students at the doors. And I'd be glad to help coordinate a school visit. And so just please let me know your availability for the 31st and 1st. I want to pause now and do quick introductions from two school leaders. John Nauhaus, who is serving as the interim principal of King Middle School, and Blake Castle, principal of Lincoln Middle School. I first met John when he interviewed for the Portland High School principalship, and it was clear then that we needed to figure out a way to bring him into the district. Blake has served as an assistant principal at Lincoln, stepped up last year as a special education coordinator for our secondary network, and is now fulfilling a goal of leading a school. I'm really appreciative of Blake in the time I've been here and their willingness to just step up wherever needed, including in special education when nobody else would step up into that, and now Lincoln in filling the shoes of Principal Ayala. And so happy to have Blake here as well, and would love to welcome them actually both up if they want to just say a couple quick words.
Both of you.
Blake is already practicing delegating.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John Nauhaus. I am the interim principal at King. I have been in Portland for about 2 months. So far, it's been amazing. I want to thank everybody at the district level, and really especially Blake. She's been a beacon of inspiration during my time here. I also want to thank Jason Bradeen, who's answered a billion questions of mine over the last month and a half when I started. But the city of Portland has welcomed me with open arms, and I hope to be able to service the community and the students with just as much in return. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, like Ryan said, I'm Blake Castle, and it has been my privilege and honor to serve the kids of Portland for the past 7 or 8 years as a Portland Public Schools employee in a number of different roles. And I couldn't be more excited to be home at Lincoln with wonderful staff, an incredible community, and the coolest kids on the planet. Except for my own, which they are also really cool. But yeah, I'm so excited to continue the great work that the team started under Aris and that folks at Lincoln have been doing for so many years, and to continue to push for and strive for awesome outcomes for all of our students who walk through our doors. So we're really excited. It's been a busy week. And it will just keep getting busier and we'll keep doing great work. So thanks so much. It's so nice to see you all.
Thank you, Blake. And then just a couple of housekeeping pieces. First, just a reminder that under the superintendent comments in the board, you will see the personnel updates that are non-voting items. On the district website, you will see where we have posted the calendar for the year and topics. And tonight, we will have the opportunity to hear an update on the implementation of our cell phone policy and a presentation from our Portland adult education leaders about their strategic plan. Both reflect important work and also the largest district or the largest school in the district, excuse me. So look forward to that discussion. Those conclude my comments. Thank you.
Beautiful. And John and Blake, I just want to say welcome. And it's so awesome to have already heard so many positive things in the community about both of you and to hear the community excitement. It's 100% true. So I am just thrilled that you have chosen PPS in this way, and let us know if you need anything from us. So up next, we have the report of the secretary, which is the consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of August 11th, 2026. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes for August 11th, 2026? Okay, then no corrections, then the minutes are approved as distributed. And then we're going to move into our focus on education. Up first, we have our cell phone policy update.
For this, I am happy to welcome up Dr. Tremaine Holloway, who's our Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Schools. And Dr. Holloway, as you're coming up, if you'd like, I can pull up the slides so that they can share on the Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent.
Dr. Holloway. Tremaine.
All right.
Yeah.
Just gonna say this is
Aim it up a little bit.
yeah, okay. How's everybody doing? Good? It's Tuesday,
Yeah,
good day.
we're good. We're good. Sparsely populated tonight, but good.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Gallen. All right, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Tremaine Holloway. I have the privilege and honor of serving as the secondary Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Schools. Today, I'm providing an update based on our secondary land in regards to our cell phone personal device implementation policy. I just kind of tried to frame it as what's already happened, what's already occurred, what is our current landscape currently right now, and just some key strategies and steps that we want to do moving forward. So as we review today, what's occurred, which is very simple. We've implemented the policy with success, and we've had some inconsistencies across the district as well. So for those who are not aware, the personal electronic devices policy, JFCK policy, in summary, it's essentially the personal electronic devices must be turned off and secured first to last bell across school grounds to protect ultimately instructional time, prevent distractions at the school level, and also promote student well-being. And just to synthesize some of those rules here, you can read on the screen as well, but it's really just helps the administrative staff to be able to help support with some of the challenges in terms of enforcing this policy, and also just trying to interact with some of the parents and caretakers to make sure that if we do have repeat offenders, we can refer to this policy in a behavior discipline matrix that we do have. So again, success, but also some inconsistencies across the district. We've been able to establish what we would identify as a unified district standard for personal electronic devices. And again, just thinking about the policy mandate, ideally the ultimate goal is really eliminating the non-district personal electronic devices from the first to last bell, trying to minimize some of those distractions, and as well as that enhancing that student well-being. And we kind of done it in a way across the district as a tiered approach. At the elementary level, there's utilization of backpacks and cubby storage. But at the middle and high school level, we've implemented the Yonder pouches. And then at PASS, because it's a specialized school and specialized facilities, they've been using a secure phone locker space, which they've been using before we actually implemented the policy. So that's been good to have that in place. Slide. Some of our attempts at the daily execution have helped this policy actually move into action. So some of our key implementation drivers have been just really establishing just this new universal notion of you must show your pouch. So as students are checking into school, some of the entry points during lunchtime or right before school starts, like really just having that as kind of one of the baseline for making sure that it's actually happening. Just to create an immediate routine, but also like create some of that high compliance and hopefully minimize some of the power struggles between staff and students. And I would say just the collective staff ownership I think this really has been a key implementation driver because my conversations with some of our secondary school leaders, it's really having a policy actually kind of moves that the challenge that you do have student teachers and it helps support, well, really what I'm trying to say is it helps support the positive student teacher relationships and continues to help hone in on that instructional time because you have such a unified policy that we have put in place versus any sort of power struggles that are happening between the teacher and the student and harpening that relationship. Next slide. Strong community buy-in and visible shifts in the community and culture are early signs that the policy is working. So we have had some successes here. Some of the conversations that I've had with some of our school leaders and principals at the secondary level, just some qualitative data here. I have quantitative data in the appendix if folks are following those slides that are posted, but observable eye contact, just very active hallway communication, positive and livelier face-to-face interactions during lunch periods. So this to me really feels like connected learning environment really at play. Something I already kind of mentioned earlier is just educator empowerment. So having a unified district-backed policy really helps take some of that burden off of the educator and off the teacher and really kind of remove some of that classroom negotiations that happen sometimes when you're having some of those challenges with your students. And it's just the community alignment from some of our surveys and some of our just information that we've gotten from families and the community. There's been a lot of community alignment and community buy-in, especially when it comes to some of our district emergency protocols messaging, as well as some of the progressive discipline steps, which I'll talk a little bit about. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I'll talk a little bit about in the key strategies and the next steps going forward. All right, and this slide here is really just kind of sharing some of the data. Again, there's more data slides and there's more data in the appendix, but really I just wanted to kind of share just some data points here just from being in secondary schools and hearing from the secondary leaders. At the high school level, some of the personal device infractions, we recorded over 500 last year. All right, so that's a high number. And these are just some anecdotal quotations that we got. So we've got Carly from Deering, and we also have Principal Abari here. I'll just summarize, so I won't read these quotes, but in conversation with Carly over at Deering, essentially what she was saying is that, you know, she was recording at least 1 or 2 infractions per day. So that adds up to almost like over 200, right? And trying to move from spreadsheets to actually our student school-wide information system. So that's been something that we're going to be working towards this year. And then Principal Obari over at Portland High School really was talking to me about some of the challenges that they've experienced with just earbuds, right? Like personal device means personal electronic device, which is inclusive of earbuds. And so really wanted to move forward this year with really honing in on those earbuds or the headphones, unless they're used for academic purposes with teachers' approval. And then at the middle school level was a little bit different. Still some of the challenges here. We recorded over 300 total technology referrals, but out of 100 of them were actually the personal device infractions. So still, you know, different numbers, but you can think about it, 1 out of every 3 infractions was a personal device infraction, if you want to think about it numerically. And then here also just some anecdotal data, some quotes from King Middle School. Jason, assistant principal there, was really talking to me about you know, just the kind of the struggle we have sometimes with students saying, oh, I don't have a phone, I didn't bring it today, right? And then you find out that they actually had it. So, and then when we're going over to Lincoln, having those conversations with Jillian, it's really about consistency and really thinking about, you know, how do we make this 100% staff alignment across the classroom, right? And so just making sure that we're really focusing on those, which has been some of the challenges last year. Next slide. So our current landscape where we are right now, we're ahead of the game, right? So we adopted our policy, and Maine, you know, I'll say it, man, Maine is following suit because Portland is setting the standard, right? So Maine is following suit. And it doesn't really require a lot of change on our part, but obviously we still want to make sure that we're putting in those implementation drivers and those key metrics to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable as a school district and as a unified body. But that policy is available and now throughout the state of Maine. And this year our focus is really on thinking about those entry-level logistics, audio devices, like I said before, like headphones and earbuds, and just like consistent and equitable enforcement. So some of the challenges and frictions that we have experienced, I've mentioned a little bit before, but just really thinking about our staff allocation, most of the time it takes up to about 5 folks, dedicated staff members in that morning time to actually make sure that yonder pouches are actually, being utilized in the appropriate way. Kids are actually putting their phones in the pouches, they're getting locked up. And also at the same time during lunch and access periods. These are just conversations that I was having with our secondary leaders here who are giving me this information. I've said the earbud thing before already, so I won't go into that. But one thing I do want to hit on is the enforcement and the data system consistency. Some of our principals were using their own spreadsheets to document this. And now we have to think about how do we move from just the spreadsheets to really thinking about putting it in our student information system, in our Swiss student information system. And so with that, there were some implementation gaps around standardizing the responses to the policy breaches. If in our district, we do have a lot of multi-sibling families. And so if a student is at a middle school and they've been a repeat offender, but maybe their third consequence was different, right? Or they got a harsher consequence. And then they have a sibling at the high school and they had, a third time a repeat offender, but their consequence is different. So how do we standardize this so at the secondary level, we know that those policies, when they are being breached, they're getting the same progressive discipline consequence, which the APs are going to work on this year. I wanted to, go back real quick. I'm just going to glance through these real quick because I know time is of essence, but I wanted to make sure I hit on just like balancing the fee collection, making sure that the lost and damaged pouches, that we're just thinking about some of the equity barriers that it might create. And so really just being mindful of that in terms of the cost that goes to families, and being able to afford that is something that we want to think about as a challenge. And then just managing, again, those transitions, moving from spreadsheets to moving to the student information system. Next slide. And so with each of those challenges, I tried to kind of frame this in a way, hearing from the principals of here's what we're committed to doing, right? And this is a conversation that we've had and will continue to have. So when it comes to that staff and resource allocation, thinking about the movements in the morning and during the lunch periods, that's more about communication and continuing to streamline what happens at those checkpoints. And our assistant principals are really looking forward to working on this year, making sure that we're having and optimizing our staff doing these duty schedules. We don't want to have it so there's always the same person that's doing it. That creates an equity issue, but also we want to make sure contractually we're doing this in a way that it doesn't breach any contracts from our union representatives. And then again, that earbud loophole, just really reinforcing the strict bell-to-bell ban on wireless earbuds unless they're allowed during class time or for classroom purposes. So really pushing on that, really saying personal devices inclusive of headbuds and wireless headbuds. Next slide. And then coming back to that last point in enforcement of data, obviously, I'll just go from the bottom up here. So really getting everybody to matriculate and standardize all behavior logging directly into Swiss and Infinite Campus district-wide. That is one of our corresponding actions that we're moving forward this year. Thinking about those deposit fees, depositing them into the school activity accounts so we can make sure that money is going back to the schools and being able to utilize that at the school level. And then back at the top, just standardizing those processes. Again, like I mentioned before, our assistant principals are going to be collaborating this year, really trying to hone in on that discipline rubric that we've created from last year with our behavior matrix, but beginning more consistent across the board. And I think our conversations that we'll have this year will really help support that collaboratively and coherently. Next slide. And one thing I would just leave you all with, the state has provided us a grant. We don't have these funds yet, so let me be really clear about that. But the state has provided funds for all school districts in the state of Maine to help with implementation costs. And so we've been able to receive this particular grant funding. Again, we haven't received it as of yet, but this is funding that is encumbered, that is coming to us. So this is an opportunity for us to continue to secure resources and support this policy implementation as well. So I wanted to make sure you had that information. In the next slide. And lastly, I just want to leave you with simple objective using that language, right? The objective of this policy is to support the school district's effort to provide a safe, positive, and productive learning environment for students. So it's not necessarily about restricting technology, but it's really about making sure that we're creating a high quality learning experience and an opportunity for students to feel safe, to feel heard, to feel like they're in a positive space that's conducive for their learning. So as long as we have that as the guiding light for this year and the years beyond, it will continue to implement this policy with fidelity. And just saying, just so you know, we'll have the next board update, all this work that we're going to be doing throughout this year in terms of our metrics and things of that nature. We'll have a next board update November 24th. So I'll end there. I believe that's the last slide. All right. Thank you so much. Questions?
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Board members, what questions do you have? I see Dr. Opperman, you've got a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Holloway, thank you. And I want to thank all of those people who have actually put their money, metal to the metal, so that this happens. The teachers are the ones there. And I do appreciate the fact that you've asked the assistant principals, the vice principals, to really support those teachers in ways that are consistent, because I think that's the critical. I've heard good things about it in the past. So thank you for your work. I mean, I looked at the data and it looks like the teachers are saying, hey, these kids are doing this. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Swiss works. I think that's a really critical thing. A lot of teachers and students worked on getting this right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Opperman. Board Member Ali, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for that presentation.
Not sure we have mics. Is your mic?
The other, no.
Testing.
It's coming.
Okay, great.
Testing. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you for that presentation. I just have like a specific question. I think that they put the volume down because of the previous noise. Not noise, but speaker, with all due respect.
It's the teacher voice, Ali.
It is. It's haunting me. I'm kidding. It's all love. All right. So I just want to know the difference between technology referrals compared to personal electronic devices.
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that for the distinction. Technology referrals could be a combination of students being on a device and not being on an appropriate website, right? Or potentially not using their computer in a way that's effective or conducive for classroom learning. While the personal device is really about, cell phones, earbuds, and things that are actually personal owned of a student. So that's why I tried to make that distinction at the middle school level. Although there was 100 of, I think it was 100 personal device infractions that happened in totality in terms of just the technology infractions, where maybe it was a wrong website a student should be, or attempt to get to a wrong website, or using a computer in a way that's not conducive for learning. That could be an example. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I didn't dive deep into the actual types of technology infractions because I was more focused on the cell phone piece. But
okay, and this is being recorded by the teachers and then being presented to the assistant principals where that data is being impacted. Okay.
Yes. The goal is really to standardize that so that assistant principals, administration could be able to have that as data to look at. And if you I didn't put it in the presentation per se, but in the appendix, there are some slides that actually talk about some of the high points during the day, or what's happening during lunchtime, or what's happening during, a transition time and things like that. So I think the more we can put into Swiss, the better we can actually have a tracking system, which will actually help us in terms of some of the behavior matrices that we're trying to create, so we can have a better system on how we actually approach this problem and also help with implementation. Because if it's happening at a certain time of the day, then maybe we need to be a little more vigilant during that time, right? Versus other times.
Okay. Follow up real quick.
Yeah.
So I know that you said we have qualitative data, but not exactly quantitative when it comes to the improvement that we've been seeing. Is there any other improvements that we there's the eye-to-eye contact, the face-to-face interactions, but there's an emotional piece, I think, to it that a lot of students mentioned last year. more for like anxiety and things like that. We heard any responses from that? If there's been any improvements?
Not in the 2 months I've been here. Maybe into
Yeah,
the gallery.
I'm happy to jump in on that. I think a lot of what was expressed was anxiety on the front end and the worry when the policy was going in to be implemented, excuse me. And so I think that primarily we heard it then. Early on, the feedback was that students felt like it was easier, it was less of a big deal than they anticipated. And I will say that I think we saw a drop off in our implementation of it as the year went on. And so those students who may have felt anxious or worried were in some cases going around the system at that point. And so it was sort of like self-treated on it. So I think it'll be a test this year as we go back into it, and people are more consistent around it.
Oh, yeah, Board Member Sawtelle, go ahead.
Thanks. This isn't so much a question as just something that I noticed. Last year, it was a pretty cold winter day, and I went into Portland High School at lunchtime, and there were probably 50 students sitting. You've been in Portland High enough now in that the stairs going up, but that are, they're inside, but not technically in the building, on their cell phones, and they were choosing to use their phones rather than eat their lunch. And it's always been an equity concern for me. My kids went to Portland High. There are a lot of kids who go out to lunch, and so they would take their phones, go downtown, buy lunch, whatever, come back. But this was, students who normally would eat school lunch, and they were just making that choice. So I'm hoping somebody's kind of paying attention to that, and maybe working with the schools, come up to a solution that makes it more equitable and so that students can actually eat. I was really concerned about that. And the principal, who has since retired, she and I had a long conversation, and she said it was like that pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I appreciate that comment and that observation. I definitely would love to thought partner with Principal Labari on that, especially because this is something that I haven't observed per se.
Yeah.
So definitely will keep that conversation in mind. So thank you for sharing it.
Awesome. And I just had a couple of things, which I think maybe you don't have insight on right now, but would love in the November update if we could get, which is there was a lot of concern around the lunch times, both the equitable pieces that Jane was talking about, but also just the ins and outs that young people have around both lunchtime and internships. And I'm just curious how that is going and the staffing load that takes. So I'd just be curious to know more about that. And then another big worry by families and students was having access to a private school phone. And I just wanted to make sure that is happening in all schools, and just kind of curious how it's going, like if students are using it, if they're finding it helpful. So that was just my other piece that I was curious about. And I'm just really excited to see that push to everybody using Swiss, because I do think that is like, once we have that uniform data, as you know, like we can just really dig into trends and where they're happening. And also that is really helpful in looking for inequities. So just really excited to hear that and see your leadership in that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? All right. And I think we're good. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
I like the clapping this year. Let's keep it, everybody. I love it. And so now, let's just keep the clapping going, because we have Portland Adult Education coming up next. Do you want to do a more formal introduction?
Okay, good evening. My name is Kate Hersom. I'm the Interim Executive Director of Portland Adult Education. And before we jump into our strategic plan presentation, I have invited one of our amazing students to join us tonight because it's been a minute since this board has heard from one of our students. So I have the amazing Helena Herculano to say hello to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Helena Herculano. I am a student for adult education. I have been attending PAE for past 3 years. Last year, I learned my certificate to be a certified nurse assistant. This year, I will continue my study to learn high school diploma. I would like to say thank you for school board to everything you do for us. Thank you.
Okay, and now, thank you for having us, Chair Lentz, Superintendent Scallon, members, and cabinet. We're happy to be here. This has kind of been a year in the making, so we're going to jump right in to talking about our strategic plan. PAE started in 1848 with a budget of $120, serving 60 students. The focus was on reading, writing, and arithmetic. You can see by this slide that the school has definitely evolved. We have 3 prongs of work. Academic, which we have a lot of ESOL classes at different levels, high set and high school diploma. We also have workforce classes and over 90 enrichment classes and over 2,000 students with 40 contracted staff, 50 hourly staff, and over 100 volunteers. The building is open every 8 to 9 Monday through Thursday and 8 to 12:30 on Fridays. And our funding is mostly out of the general fund, and a third of it comes from grants and contracts. And we are currently in a leased building that we lease from the diocese. So you can see that we are working in a complex environment. Given the evolution of the school, it became obvious to all that a redesign that better matches the scale of the school was needed. And Dr. Scallon and the original Portland Public Schools strategic plan design team added us to the district strategic plan, and our initiative is named 1.3. So as you can see on the slide, our mandate here is to design and implement improved adult education programs that aim to provide the learning and knowledge needed to accelerate career opportunities and provide multi-generational support to Portland Public Schools families. And as always, we know that this work is rooted in the Portland Public Schools commitment to equity, to be an anti-racist, inclusive district by vigilantly supporting each and every student's particular path to achieving their potential and rooting out systemic inequities. So with that, I want to introduce the Interim Assistant Director, Becca Chevalier, to move us through the first 3 priorities out of our 6. But I just want to tell you how amazing this lady is, because she got to us in October as an interim, and I was so lucky to be able to say, okay, you can be the project manager for this strategic plan. And I have to say, I've just been in awe every minute of her data knowledge and organizational skills, and just her ability to just convene so many different groups and hear everybody's voice. So, Becca.
Thank Okay, perfect. So it was a lot of, I had fun. I hope other people had fun. And so this slide, we wrote the strategic plan in really 2 phases. First was a needs assessment, and this slide details a lot of the work that went into this. And then following with that wrapped up in January. And then we had really a spring-long process to write the strategic plan that was just as comprehensive and inclusive as this needs assessment was. You know, talking to students, staff, community partners, employer partners, Superintendent Scallon and the central office, the high schools. You know, this was the plan that we're going to share with you tonight, I think really reflects the voice of the PAE community and a lot of revisions and work, and something I think we can really stand behind and we're really excited for. And it's around a North Star. I feel like I heard the district use that phrase today. And so they stole, I wasn't going to say that, but the North Star for PAE is that by the end of this 5-year strategic plan, by 2031, every PAE student progresses through a clear supported pathway, exits with supported next steps, and achieves meaningful educational and economic goals. And so to do that, we have 6 priorities. Oh, thank you. And so our first priority is to strengthen high quality instruction. We're a school, and so instruction is at the front and the center of the strategic plan. And we have 3 initiatives for this. First, defining high quality instruction, which is similar to K-12 pedagogy, but we're working with adults. So it's similar, but not the same. The second lever we really want to pull on is building a culture of instructional growth and building the systems for and the capacity and ability to deliver feedback to teachers. And then lastly, aligning professional learning to instructional practice, which is really about developing our data and feedback systems so that the professional learning that we do is aligned to what we need. And we're really excited about this work for this year. It's going to be the big focus of our whole staff. And we're really biting off 1.1, defining the high quality instruction, and then building on the strengths that already exist to take our teacher feedback system and peer feedback system and see how we can build on that to make it something that's more sustainable and more a built-in part of our school. Our second priority is to clarify pathways and advising. And so just as Kate gave kind of a very high overview, a taste of PAE from an organization side, our students are equally complex. We might have in one level 3 ESOL classroom, 3 students sitting next to each other, one, a 22-year-old who aged out at Portland Public Schools who really wants their high school diploma as soon as possible so that they can continue building their life. Sitting next to maybe a Portland Public Schools parent in their late 30s who was an internationally trained professional pharmacist whose credentials haven't transferred yet. Sitting next to maybe an elder who had limited formal schooling, and they're all in the current same place, but they all have really, really different pathways forward. And to advise all of these students, we have 1.0 advisors, which is actually an increase because when we gave this presentation to the cabinet earlier this year, that was a part-time position. So we have really complicated and a lot of students and pretty limited advising. So this one, we want to get really clear on what are our pathways, what can we do to further strengthen those systems, and really look at how students are starting their PAE journey. And so this year is really about getting a lay of the land of what we're already doing for pathways, where are the existing problems we know about, what advising is already happening so that we can, anything we design really builds off of what's already happening. And then the last one before I hand the mic back to Kate is priority 3, deepen community reach to sustain enrollment. And that's a mouthful, but I think just like Portland Public Schools K-12 experienced over the last 5-6 years, a real spike in enrollment and is now looking at stabilization or maybe decline. PAE experienced that at an even larger scale. And so we're looking ahead to figure out how can we actively reach the students who need us most. That we know that there are many populations in Portland who could maybe benefit from the different things we offer that we're not reaching, whether that's, just to name a few, looking at, like I know coming from K-12 that our Latino adults are not represented nearly in the same proportion as they are K-12. That's one group we're probably underserving. We've already started working with Dr. Holloway in the high schools to better support pathways for students who drop out or otherwise disengage from high school. That's another group we can do a better job at. And there are about 1,600 Portland residents who were born in the US and don't have a high school diploma. And we definitely don't serve nearly that number. So this priority really encourages us to be proactive about who are we missing? How can we get them in our door? And how can we build this proactive approach to enrollment as part of how PAE operates, rather than waiting and passively sort of receiving folks as they happen to hear about us and show up. This year, we are not going hard on this one since we're working in 5 other realms, but I think we're excited for the potential power of working on this over the 5 years of the plan.
Priority 4 is aligning resources and strengthening our financial sustainability. The vision here is every dollar, every staff hour, and every program offering is deliberately organized around what produces the strongest outcomes for students and the organization, and has the financial foundation to sustain that work over time. As I mentioned, we're 2/3 funded by the general fund and 1/3 funded by grants. In the recent past and kind of probably going into the future, there is, some change in the federal grant landscape that we anticipate. Really proud of the department chairs that I've been working with within the schools. We've done a complete audit of staff hours and our staffing and our enrollment numbers, and we're kind of right-sizing the number of offerings that we have at each level. It's caused us to pivot a little bit, and I have to just high-five my staff because they've been very flexible and understanding of where we are in this time. So in 4.1, we're doing an audit. We're going to continue to do that audit with the amazing Lisa Beck and her finance team internally. And then I have to talk about Pierre Avignon, our accountant for PAE, who knows a spreadsheet inside and out and is super helpful in making kind of suggestions and comment. 4.2 is optimizing the use of time. We're looking at, again, this is a 5-year plan. We're talking to our students to see what time of the day works best for their lives and their schedules and their families, so that we can kind of optimize getting them from where they are to where they want to be as quickly as possible. And then 4.3 is redesigning our programs and potential funding models. We're looking at, I met with Andy Summers from the Foundation for Portland Public Schools this week. She had some incredible ideas to share. We're going to look to collaborate a little bit. We also have our friends for Portland Adult Education who are super committed to helping us out in a variety of ways. But we know that the ways that they're helping us are not sustainable going far into the future. So this is going to be a difficult priority to manage, but a real one. And I'm really looking forward to working with you all, with Dr. Scallon and with the finance team to make sure we get this right. Do you want to add anything? Okay. Priority 5 is having a safe and secure and accessible facility. So as I mentioned, I'm going to read the vision on this one as well. So every PAE program operates in a space that is safe, accessible, and designed to support learning. And the organization has a clear, stable path to facilities that can meet the current demand and accommodate future growth. Under Dr. Warren's leadership, we've been participants in the Harriman study, kind of eager to hear what that has to say. Even though we're a renter, we know that the current facility that we're in is not satisfying our needs. And I must admit that the lease that we're currently in is ending June 2027. So this is an urgent priority for us all to kind of keep in front and discuss. So we are beginning to engage partners under Dr. Scallon's leadership and a communication plan in terms of how we want to kind of make some things happen either in the short term or in the long term. And then 5.3 is secure a safe long-term facilities solution. Again, I want to high five Scott Watson and his facilities team. They've been in the building a few times this summer, had some things happen that they've quickly helped us to take care of. But it is a bit of a concern, the condition that the building's in. And the last priority, priority 6, is to strengthen leadership and culture. And this is really about, kind of acknowledging that PAE has just grown exponentially post-pandemic over the past 5 years. And this priority is really looking at what the organization needs now for internal systems and leadership, decision-making, communication, and an overall culture of shared responsibility. I think there's been a lot of leadership change in the past. And I have to acknowledge the team that has been there for a long time, because there are a lot of people who work more than one FTE just to make sure that things get done. And it's just an amazing team. I never thought that I'd end up in adult education in my career, but I have to say it's probably the best place that I've been, and I'm really happy to be there. So with that said, the last page here is a cheat sheet, and I'll let you finish.
So the full strategic plan is 21 pages. We are thrilled to send that to you if you would like to look at it. But if you want a one-pager version, and it is linked in here, this is a screenshot of it. And this has the 6 priorities, the 3 initiatives underneath them, and then the 2 to 3 action steps that tie to each of them. And we are certainly, we really appreciate Dr. Scallon and the entire central office team being very honest about their experience with the PPS strategic plan. And I think the wisdom to move slowly and steadily and carefully. So what we're not doing all of this year, but this is over the next 5 years, the body of work that PAE really wants to focus on so that we can meet that North Star. But this is the whole strategic plan in one page in mostly readable size font.
Questions?
Yes.
Beautiful. Board Member Slatel, go ahead.
Hi. I can remember a very long time ago when adult ed was just yoga classes and creative writing. So I'm curious what role those kind of enrichment classes play in this strategic plan. Is it are the fees for enrichment classes, for instance, something that helps to support academic classes? Is it something we're hoping to de-emphasize? I'm just kind of curious.
Not de-emphasizing community learning. But the fees, again, like everything affects everything in a plan like this. So the fee structure, hasn't changed in a long time. It's one of the things that we will have to, look at in priority 5 as we audit our financials. But Adam Perone, our community life coordinator, is amazing, and he's always looking for new opportunities. We're always looking for people who have specific interests in the communities to offer up, a class that they'd like to share and instruct.
Thanks.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, I mean, I read the pamphlet that I get in my mailbox every time it comes out. I think it's really cool, the offerings there. But I often wonder, just like if there could be more of an intentional revenue stream there, if we were to provide different access points for folks so that it could still be equitable and accessible to different parts of the community. But I do think that like some of those offerings are so cool that we could be, that could be an interesting model to look at as, grant opportunities are decreasing. Board Member Lena?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. That was very informative and organized. I appreciated it. I have a highly specific question for something Becca mentioned about the advising. You said that you had a 1.0 advisor. I don't fully understand what you mean. Is that just there's one person that advises everyone? Can you just explain that?
Have one full-time position who's responsible for advising. Again, that's up. I think 2 or 3 years ago, it was a half-time position. And we have been able to steadily get that up so that is now a normal contracted one person. Obviously, that one person cannot advise 2,000 students. So at this point, given the grant funding that it's connected with, we focus mainly on high school diploma and college and career access, which matches the grants that we get. And so we are looking to figure out how we can offer more advising to more students.
Board Member Sawtelle?
Just a quick follow-up question, because this came up in some of the student meetings I came to this year. How/who looks at transcripts from, say, other countries and tries to figure out the equivalent and does like a transition plan? Is it that one person? Is that something high school guidance staff could help with?
So it really depends on where that student is entering. If they are entering as a young adult, that work has already happened in the high school. If they're entering as a foreign trained professional, like the hypothetical pharmacist, we have the New Manor Resource Center program, which is for a little bit of a deceiving name for internationally trained professionals. And they have transcript review processes. That's for folks who have a bachelor's or higher, who are trying to get those. People who are looking to get a high school diploma would go to that advisor and who would do that work. So like most things at PAE, it's very complicated and pretty individualized.
Thanks.
Other questions or comments from board members? And I would just add, I've been a PAA multiple times for multiple years and just have sat and listened with so many students and have sat with so many directors. And I just think that this strategic plan really addresses everything that I've heard in the last 4 years and just like really does it well. And so I feel like really relieved that everything that I've heard feels encapsulated in this plan. And it just feels like there is such a clear direction for PAE within this in a way that I think, Abby Yamamoto, when she was here, did a tremendous amount of work to really start that process. But just it feels like there's a purpose and a vision and a North Star. So just congratulations on, I think, what has given you a great result. And I look forward to just seeing how it unfolds.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Just before you transition, I wanted to say a sincere appreciation having sat in on your strategic planning process and just the level of thought that everybody there, but especially the two of you had in the process, just an immense appreciation. And I'm just going to say this for the board, and if we have city councilors listening, is oftentimes we do updates to the board and to the community that are truly updates. And one of the things that I'm hoping this board takes from this is actually a challenge and really a push for work that has to come. So adult ed serves 2,000 students. It is truly the workforce engine for the city. If Metro and the district and our surrounding districts are going to have bus drivers, it's going to come from figuring out how we leverage the program that adult ed started. If we're going to have nurses and nursing assistants at Maine Health, it's going to come from Portland Adult Education.
Who are multilingual.
Yes. And so when we really think about the future workforce in Portland and the surrounding areas, it's coming from those 2,000 students. And the budget that they have now was built for a system that wasn't educating 2,000 students, that wasn't having its highest graduating class in a year. And so as we think about going into the next budget, we have to really interrogate if the funding we're putting up matches the programming. And for our city partners, I would really challenge them. They've been a partner in some spaces, but I'd love to push us further and to really think about this. They've had conversations about rec and about early childhood. You're looking at the folks who can train those educators. And we can't do that training in a facility that doesn't meet our expectations. And so I give credit to everybody who steps foot in adult education for doing the work that they do, but they're doing it in an environment that doesn't meet the expectations that we have for that work. And that was something that was very clear just in visiting the building and in the conversations. And so again, as a board, we're going to be challenged that as we go through this facilities assessment, we can Band-Aid and make it work, or we can have the facility that matches. And it's really going to push us to think about what that is. And so I just say that as a appreciation for the presentation. And I hope that we also leave with the challenge of figuring out how do we deepen this work. So thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Awesome. Up next, we have personnel.
Thank you. This evening, we have a request for the board to review and hopefully approve 17 probationary teachers for the upcoming school year.
Thank you. So I'd be looking for a motion for the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, the election of teacher candidates probationary. Is there a motion? Thank you, Board Member Noor. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Ali. Any questions from the board? Any general discussion from the board? As it's a personnel item, we don't take public comment. So then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of the consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of teacher candidates probationary. Dr. Warren, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yusra Ali. Member Yusra Ali. Sorry. Member Yusra Ali. Vice Chair Bondo. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, Member Bryden. Member Lena.
Yes.
Member Noor.
Yes.
Member Opperman.
Yes,
Member Sawtell.
Yes.
I don't believe we have any student representatives here, and Chair Lentz.
Yes, so that motion passes.
Thank you.
And finally, on the agenda tonight, we have executive session. I would be looking for a motion for the consideration and action to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D to discuss contract negotiations for Portland Administrators Association, special education coordinators, multilingual specialists, educational technicians, and student enrichment coordinators. Is there a motion? Thank you, Board Member Noor. Is there a second? Board Member Lena. All those in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. So we're going to enter into executive session. Let's take a 6-minute recess on the way. So we'll go into executive session at 7:10. Thanks, Greg. So we are back from executive session. I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Ali. All those in favor of adjourning? That is unanimous. So we are adjourned at 7:39 p.m.